So yeah, my name is Roscoe Ney. I'm a solution architect in the Massmart SAP Center of Expertise team. Basically, we're a team that sits at Massmart. We cover various areas, customer engagement, finance, integration, solution manager, quite a few topics. Sorry, I think I'm getting an echo. If maybe if I can go on mute. Okay. Um, so basically, our team is there to assist all the different divisions within Massmart, which I'll go through in a bit later. It's quite complex. The environment is changing quite a lot. There's multiple SAP systems across Massmart. Our job as COE is to really work with the business, work with all our partners, make sure we have a good solution at the end. A lot of historical systems that are in place, trying to make sure it gets integrated correctly. And like I said, working well and very closely with partners. You will see there in our Massmart this year, or towards the end of last year, you will see a lot of the Massmart powered by Walmart. So we are using a lot of expertise coming from Walmart, from Walmart employees and associates, as well as Walmart partners that they currently use. We have a big team sitting in India called the Walmart IDC. We are starting to leverage quite a bit of that team in all our SAP areas and also non-SAP. So that's something quite exciting for Massmart. So yeah, that's me. I've basically been in SAP approximately 13 years. 10 years I was doing mainly SAP SD and CRM and a lot of contact center work, a lot of global template projects in terms of rolling out SAP globally for a company called SAB Miller, bought by AB InBev currently, well owned by InBev currently. Yeah, and that's just a little bit of background. I've only been at Massmart for about 2.5 years. So let's just go into the agenda. So, like I said, I'll just quickly show you quite an interesting picture around Massmart. Some people might not know what does Massmart make up. You normally know the main ones like macro and game. So I'll just break that down a little bit for you. I'll quickly go through the Massmart landscape. This webinar is mainly focused at C4HANA. So I'm going to focus a lot on that. And also I'm going to focus on a lot of areas that I've worked on personally within Massmart. So some areas I might not cover in detail because I wasn't that close to it, but I'll definitely share with you the landscape and what I've worked on. Then I got a slide just showing all our partners for the last 4 years or so, because I've only been with Massmart 2.5, so I've got a little bit of history that I've basically got from my fellow employees and teammates. So I'll try and just paint a picture of where we started from a C4HANA perspective and where we are now. Then I'll go through obviously all the different solutions within C4HANA: commerce, sales, service, marketing. And then I'm going to sort of end off with our future or planned integrations with cloud platform. It's quite a nice slide in terms of how using standard integration as far as possible, how we can really start connecting up all these clouds with each other, but also with other applications out there. And then I'll just leave some time for questions. Okay, so let's move to Massmart. So what I put here together was off our website, all the different brands that make up Massmart. You'll see some of it, probably you'll know probably more than half of them. Maybe the others you won't really know in that detail. Obviously, there's just one, I think there's only one missing, which is Dion White. So unfortunately, we don't have Dion White anymore, but that falls into game. So game still carries on with that. These are all the brands that we currently have. We obviously used to be split into 4 different divisions. That has changed somewhat. But I thought let's just put all the brands down, just instead of confusing everyone. These are all the brands we have. We have SAP solutions within a few, especially the bigger ones. And then also have non-SAP applications like Great Plains, for example. So it's quite a complex environment, like I said, but we are the second largest distributor of consumer goods. And I think we are quite a big retailer looking at lots of products. Yeah, from merchandise, liquor to builders, which is home improvement, building. And yeah, so it's quite an interesting and a very fast changing environment, like I said, because we do lots of different products and we do a lot of services as well. Okay. Let me move to the next slide. Okay. So the landscape. So I'm sure from all the SAP presentations and the website and videos on YouTube, you've seen this picture around SAP C4HANA. And basically, it comprises of marketing, commerce, sales, and service. And then we have SAP Customer Data Cloud that sort of underpins all of that in terms of various other scenarios in terms of permissions and bringing data together from a customer. What I want to show you now is basically how our current landscape looks. So let's start with SAP Marketing Cloud. So we initially Game went onto SAP Marketing Cloud as one brand. Obviously, the Dion Wide was there as well, but I mean it's it was basically out of the same division. So Game went live with Marketing Cloud the same time they went live with Commerce Cloud. SAP implemented that solution. Basically, they did very basic email campaigns, integration between marketing and commerce. And that was really the first time we had a pure cloud solution within the environment. Then Builders was using a third party to send out emails, for example, and they decided, well, there is a solution called SAP Marketing Cloud. We hear about it. Various partners have discussed it with Builders and with Massmart. And when I joined, they approached me to say, well, is there a way that we could have Builders and Game into one tenant? And SAP also provided some information around how we could do that, what is changing in the SAP Marketing Cloud environment, what is the possibilities, and is it feasible? So a lot of discussion with SAP, with our partners, and basically then we kicked off that project, which I'll take you through a bit later as a success story. So essentially we have Game and then we had Builders on the same environment, different back ends, different commerce front ends, but essentially it's on one Marketing Cloud tenant. Then I think as recent as a few days ago, we now also have Macro on the same tenant. So we have these three big brands that sit on one SAP Marketing Cloud tenant. And I'll show you a bit later in terms of what does that actually mean? What is the benefit of that? And what sort of insight do we then gain from all our customers that basically shop at different brands? Then if you move to Commerce Cloud, so I know it used to be called Hybris, and I suppose it started as an on-premise solution. We initially started with Builders, I think, as the first implementation of Commerce, and then we went with Game, and then with Macro. Builders and Macro are not really hosted, or it's not really a SAP Commerce Cloud. Only Game is at this point, and I got a slide just to explain that in a little bit more detail. But essentially, we have three brands on our commerce on SAP Commerce. Then, when we move to Sales Cloud, we have Builders only on it at this point. We don't use a lot of functionality there, but it's for what we've implemented. It's quite good. At Builders, we have a concept for big customers or for trading customers in terms of key account management. So we have key account managers that basically visit these customers, sit with the customers, provide quotes to these customers, and obviously other services as well. So we have Sales Cloud to do that. I know sometimes C4C, Sales Cloud and Service Cloud becomes a bit confusing. Where does C4C fit in? But basically C4C is an application that goes across sales and service. So at this point, when we implemented C4C, we did service and we did sales. So also fairly recently, we've also then at Massmart, we have a value-added services division within Massmart, and that's like your money center. These are the value-added services we offer in the store, buying airtime, buying Netflix vouchers, all these things. We have that across most of our stores at this point, and it's expanding quite a bit, and I'm sure it'll be at every store at some point. And we have a contact center that looks after that. So from a Service Cloud point of view, very much similar to the Marketing Cloud, we had the builders on C4C or on Service Cloud, and then we also reached out to Consnet, one of our partners, and say, well, could we get them onto one tenant? What is the impact of that? We've had some good sessions with SAP using our Max Attention days to really go through that in detail. Some examples of other international customers that are doing it, what to watch out for, and because also it's a from a marketing and sales and service cloud point of view, it's a very evolving solution. It gets updated every 3 months. It's a public cloud solution, so we also needed to make sure, what is coming up. Is it feasible to do that? And then I think we had some good sessions with SAP and with Consnet around that topic. And then we kicked off that project, and they are live for the last few months now, which I'll also go through a little bit in more detail. One of the topics that we didn't really, so Customer Data Cloud, we've had a few sessions with SAP. We've done our own internal analysis and investigation in it. We definitely see a future with it in our environment, but at this point, we are really trying to get some of the fundamentals right within our SAP landscape. And this will probably be something that we will look at in future. So basically, if you look at how this gets underpinned in terms of integration, we have SAP Cloud Platform integration. And that allows us to connect all these cloud systems, in particular marketing, sales, and service, not so much commerce at this point. Basically, in marketing, sales, and service, we use Cloud Platform to connect to our on-premise environment mainly. And if you look at our on-premise, obviously, we got the same across a lot of the bigger corporations. We have ERP, we have CRM, and quite recently we're going live with SAP S/4HANA at Game. So from our on-premise environment, we have the cloud platform that sort of keeps it connected to our cloud environment. It's not easy because one example is our SAP Cloud Platform integration. We have 2 of them. So a lot of people ask, why do we have 2? Should we not just have 1? So it's a lot of these questions and discussions that we have at Massmart, because different projects are at different stages in terms of the divisions, and sometimes divisions also have a certain priority, and some other divisions can't really sort of impact that. And that's why we have a lot of times different systems for different divisions, but that's coming together now. And I think the cloud environment is one place where that's working really well. Okay, so that's a picture of basically where does C4HANA fit into Massmart, what we've done. Like I mentioned, Commerce Cloud, from a commerce point of view, it's not really obviously the SAP Commerce Commerce Cloud environment for builders and macro, but I suppose in future it'll probably go that route as well. So this is a slide that I put together just to give a sequence of, when did we go live and who did we use? So we started with SAP Commerce at Builders, and we used BCX or UCS Solutions as it used to be known. And they basically set up that environment, and they've been supporting that and upgrading that for the last few years. Then quite close to that, we had SAP Commerce Cloud, like I mentioned, where we went live with Game and Dion Wide, and SAP was the implementation partner there. And then at the same time, we implemented Marketing Cloud with Commerce Cloud. So it had the same go live date, and we had the same team working together from an SAP point of view. That's been live also for a couple of years. Then we started to look at C4C, and that's pretty much when I joined the Massmart company. We were doing a project with Brighthouse to implement sales and service. I think it's probably the first cloud solution, SAP solution that we've implemented at Massmart, that replaced the old SAP CRM environment. We still have the old CRM environment at Builders and Macro, but we don't use a lot of functionality in terms of marketing and sales and service. We're using it purely as a database or a way to log certain transactions only. A lot of it is now moving to Sales and Service Cloud. from an SAP point of view. So Brighthouse delivered that for us. Then we went live with SAP Marketing Cloud, like I mentioned earlier, with builders. So we had the same tenant for game. We then got Constantly to onboard builders onto that environment. Like I said, I'll show you that whole project. It was quite a nice success story for Massmart and for builders. We then went to SAP Commerce for Macro. Macro was on another online store, another technology, wasn't SAP, so non-SAP, and we moved it to SAP Commerce. That was BCX that did that as well. And then we had, like I mentioned, we have a division called Massmart VAS, and we wanted our contact center there that sits in Sunninghill here at our Massmart office to run also on that C4C environment from a service point of view. And yeah, I got a slide on that as well, so I'll go through that a little bit in more detail. And then recently, a few days ago, we are then live with SAP Marketing Cloud for Macro. SAP did the initial work, and then Constantly is sort of wrapping it up in terms of going live, doing IP warm-up, which I'll discuss later. Really getting the environment live. Again, Macro has another solution that they're using for email communication, and now they're moving to SAP for that. So I'll go through that also in the coming slides.
They into SAP, eh? Massmart, Builders Warehouse, Game, Macro.
Sorry, I didn't catch the beginning of your question. Hello. Okay, sorry. I don't know if it was a question now. Can't hear. Yeah, so that's the journey with our partners. I'll discuss the support of our cloud environment a bit later as well. And that is a nice picture showing where we've come. This is about the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years, where we are. And basically, there's still a lot more to do. I mean, you saw the diagram or the image that I had around all the brands. We haven't even looked at the other brands yet. This is purely just looking at the big ones: Builders, Game, Macro. I mean, we didn't even look at the other Cambridge and some of the other brands, which we're starting discussion now to really understand how we can then leverage the whole cloud, the C4HANA environment for them as well. Okay, let me just move to the next slide. Okay, so in terms of SAP Commerce, I just put this slide together. I'm not that closely, I'm involved with SAP Commerce, but not in that much detail. There's a whole digital team that looks after this. But I thought, let me just put it together in terms of what do we currently have. So we have a builder site and a macro site. Basically, it's hosted on AWS, so it's still sort of on-premise, but it's hosted on AWS. So that was a good move, I think, from us to move from our current data centers and move it to cloud. And there's a lot of benefits to that, obviously. From a builder's point of view, just an overview on the website. So on the builder's site, you can obviously place orders for delivery. So most of our products are sitting on our online site, and I think that the aim is to get everything that's on our store on our online site, and that's obviously quite a big task. So that's sort of ongoing, but there's quite a lot of information around products, information around DIY tips. You can place orders for delivery. You can also then place orders for your nearest store. So you can see your stock for the store. Like for me, it's Builders Rivonia. I can see stock there. I can place orders there. If Builders Rivonia doesn't have stock, I can then check other stores in Four Ways in Bryanston. I can then see the stock levels at other stores and do orders from those stores as well. I can also then opt to do pickups. So basically, you can either do delivery, but you can also then pick up the stock. So you place the order, 90 minutes later or so, the order will be picked. It will be then put into it will be set aside for you, and then you can go collect that whenever you're ready. You'll get an SMS when it's available and all that. There's also another feature around express delivery. So we use a company called OneDrop, so you can get your order within hours. So that's quite a good feature there from a builder's point of view. Macro, you can also then do pickups. You can also order online, get it delivered. There's also there's other various methods of getting your stock, but very similar to builders. They have a little bit more products in terms of marketplace, so they sell on behalf of others as well. So there's quite a lot of products that you can then view and order online on Macro. if you just staying with builders and macro, there's obviously they still have the SAP CRM and ECC environment, and that connection is there. Then from an SAP view in terms of game, so like I said, game runs on Commerce Cloud. Basically, they obviously recently will be connected to S4. Currently, they're on another non-SAP solution. Same thing that you can place orders online and you can obviously get it delivered to you. So that's all available on the game site. I think not as advanced as the other two, but I mean, it's obviously very evolving quite a bit. Okay, so that is SAP Commerce in terms of where we host it, what we have on our websites, what we're connecting to in the back end. Yeah, so that's SAP Commerce. Let me move to Sales Cloud. So from a Sales Cloud point of view, I think the majority of the work we do in that environment is visiting our customers. So like I mentioned in the builder scenario, you have accounts or customers that sort of want a one-on engagement with key account managers. That's normally the bigger accounts that request that, and obviously there's certain deals and negotiation that happens between the key account manager and the customer. What they do is they visit these customers. They then provide they on the application they do surveys. So they ask customers questions that gets then put into the system and then gets analyzed afterwards. There's some financial information that we pull. This is quite a nice piece of work we did when we went live with C4C, especially on the sales side, was to pull in some ECC information like your balance and your available credit and some few other fields. That is quite nice because it's a real-time call from your C4C environment. Whether you're on a laptop, on your phone, on your tablet, it's a real-time call. So at least you have the most up-to-date information with when you're discussing it and when you're having a look with your customer. Customer might have queries around their balance, or for example, at least it's a real-time call that's available. For example, it's the same call that we do on commerce when you have the available or open to buy amount that you can purchase for. It's the same value, made sure it's in sync. Also from a BW, we also have SAP BW integrated there. It's just two fields that we pull in, but those two fields have quite a lot of calculation behind it. So basically it gives a good view for the key account manager, either before the meeting with the customer or during the meeting. You can then view a lot of this information on the key account manager's device. Then there's a lot of negotiation around quotes and orders for the customer. So customer might be doing big projects, a lot of negotiation, a lot of consulting work that the key account managers do. And that's really to deliver value to the customer. So when the customer has big projects, they know they must speak to the key account manager. Key account manager will sit down with them, discuss the project, make notes in C4C, so you can always reference the next week to say, okay, all the notes that we captured last week, how did it go? Any issues? Can I help you this week? And that's really quite the power from the sales cloud point of view. All the notes are captured. All these images, you can do immediate image capture. So maybe when you're on the site, you can take pictures. You can save all that information immediately onto C4C. It's then available in your next visit, and it's also available for the regional account managers and so the management team that can actually have a look at the big customers and understand, are they getting the right are they getting the right assistance from the key account manager? You can then view, so basically anyone can view that information across across builders. The bottom image here is basically how we've basically moved all the customer data from the old CRM on-premise environment to C4C. That data is always in sync. All the address information, you can see how it starts plotting the customers. It gives a good view for the key account manager to then plan their route, really understand, what's the best way to visit these customers. Is the address incorrect? Let me fix the address. Let me log an incident or a service ticket for that to fix the address, that sort of thing. It gives a nice visual view for the key account manager. Okay, so let's move to one of the other features for Sales Cloud. And this is the SAP Commerce ASM, so assisted service mode. And from C4C, basically we have links, I think, in 3 places that you can click on that link to then move to this screen, which is SAP Commerce. So this is basically helping customers as they're ordering products, if they have any issues, cannot find products, to help the customers really in that process. And it's quite nice that it has single sign-on, because if they've logged onto their C4C tablet or their laptop, it uses ADFS, so network password, username, password. It logs you into C4C. Immediately when you click on the link, it then logs you into Hybris Commerce or SAP Commerce, into the ASM mode, and then you're logged in. So I think there's a lot more features we can then improve on that process, but at least just from a single sign-on point of view, you don't have to worry about login passwords all the time and having different passwords. So that is something that we've also worked on. Like I said, it probably needs a little bit more fine-tuning, but it's something that I think the key account managers find quite useful.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry to interrupt you. I can't see all your slides. I still see your second slides, the journey with our partners. I don't know if you.
Is everyone else? Can everyone else see the SAP Sales Cloud?
I can see the plan, Ross.
I can see the SAP Sales Cloud.
Yeah. I'm good. SAP Sales
Maybe
Cloud.
if you just go off and reconnect, maybe.
Yeah, maybe just try to drop off, reconnect, and it should be fine.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's the ASM mode. Again, like I said, something that we can probably look into a little more detail. I'm sure there's new enhancements on Commerce side and on C4C side that we can implement. But that's quite a nice feature for key account managers in particular. Let me just move to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So Service Cloud. So basically, if you look at Service Cloud within Massmart, we have a builder's contact center, and I mentioned also we have the money center or the VAS contact center. And basically, I think if you look at this diagram showing all the different aspects of it, we've integrated telephony. For builders, we have Genesis, for example. For VAS, we have Cisco. So 2 separate telephony systems at this point. I think the idea is to get to Cisco because that's a Massmart, Walmart preferred solution. But at this point, we have it separate. And basically, we've done the integration for telephony. We've done Facebook. We've done email integration. We've got quite a few emails now actually in C4C for various areas. And then we also have Twitter integration. So basically, when the agents look at the inbox or all the tickets, the list of tickets, they see all these tickets, and then they can see, okay, this is the Facebook, Twitter, email. If maybe everyone can just go on mute, there's some background. Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, there's a inbox where they can now view all the different tickets coming in, different teams. So, for example, the builders team, they might have a multimedia team or social team. That team focuses on Facebook and Twitter. Then we might have an email team. So there's a lot of queues in the environment. It's used quite well. We've also managed to split Massmart, VAS, and builders so they don't see each other. So because it's different customers, there could be overlap, but at this point we keep it completely separate. So that's quite a nice feature that they're on one tenant, but via authorization and a few other topics that we went through with Consnet, it was basically a way to keep it separate. They on one environment. That helps from a support and from cost point of view as well. From a builder's point of view, we also have all the account communication. So when you have a builder's account, all the automated triggers and emails and that you receive around your account is all now in C4C. So for example, if you apply for a new account, all those emails you're getting is all coming out of the C4C solution. The debtors team or the account team from builders works on C4C to do that. They do obviously a few other transactions in ECC, but we're trying to let them use C4C really as their front end, and then all customer comms are coming from that solution. We use BRF Plus in SAP ECC. It's something completely new to me. That was also quite well developed. I think that's quite a nice feature in terms of triggering your information or there's trigger points in ECC that can then flow via CPI into your C4C solution and then trigger out emails and keep a proper record of all those interactions with the customer. So that's quite a nice feature that we've also implemented, because now you see for one customer, you see all the applications, you see all the comms. If there's any investigation, any issues that customers complain about, it's all in one place. The contact center can also potentially see it. So it's a nice place to really have a single view of the customer in terms of all the communication and interactions with the customer. We then also have SMS active in C4C. So that's via SAP Digital Interconnect. So that is a SAP service where they offer email, WhatsApp, SMS, and a few app push notifications, for example. They have quite a host. In fact, you guys should have a look at their website. There's quite a lot of information in terms of what they're doing, and also they're also evolving quite a bit as well. So they're adding new services. So basically, C4C connects to the service, all basically cloud, and the SMS gets sent out. So that's quite a nice little feature that we've done for Massmart VAS, but now we are also doing that for builders quite soon. So that is also something coming up in the future. Like I mentioned, Service Cloud or C4C is a shared tenant between builders and VAS. So far, there's been very little issues. I think more at the beginning when we went live, nothing major. But at this point, it's running quite smoothly to have a single tenant with two different divisions. Okay, to the next slide. So just to move on to one of the success stories that we have at Massmart. So Service Cloud was one. So I mentioned Massmart VAS. So there you can see some of the details of the project. Yeah, it was called VAS C4C, implementation of SAP Service Cloud. We had basically the contact center and ticket and email management. Yeah, we had various partners. We had Consent, Dimension Data, SAP Digital Interconnect. And then obviously Cisco was the platform that we used from a telephony point of view. It's only rolled out for South Africa. And you can see the duration was quite quick. I think that's 3 months and a bit. So it was fairly quick. One of the highlights of that is that so obviously at Massmart, we got various contact centers because we got different brands. And we got feedback recently that Massmart VAS contact center was the first contact center to sort of adapt quickly to remote working during this COVID-19, because there was a widget that we've built. You'll see that in the screen here. So this is a widget that basically in C4C, it connects through to Cisco Finesse, which is the contact center solution, the telephony solution. And from that, you log in. The agents are provided then with soft phones, with headsets, for example, with a laptop, and they can work completely remotely as long as they have internet connection using VPN. And obviously, cloud for customer is cloud, so you don't need VPN, and it's public cloud, so it makes it easier from that point of view. But for Cisco Finesse, we had to obviously each agent needs to log on to VPN for that. So it works quite well. It's quite a good success story. And like I said, that was the Cisco Finesse and SAP C4C widget integration. Wasn't easy, but it was done. I think we did. There was 1 or 2 issues that we had, but at the end of the day, you can see it works really well. You can transfer calls, conference calls, all that from C4C. So you don't have to touch your Cisco Finesse that runs in the background. You can sort of leave that minimized, and you just work on C4C. From a builder's point of view, it's similar. It's just not as advanced as this. So you still have to answer on Genesis, but at least you also get that inbound call. So you can see that person there with the phone number is calling in, auto logs that interaction immediately the minute it comes in. So yeah, so for Massmart VAS, I think this was quite a nice piece of work. We will obviously try and roll that out to all the other divisions, including builders at some point. Okay, like I mentioned, Constant, I mentioned Data, Digital Interconnect. So they helped with the SMS piece of work, and then Cisco was the telephony. Okay. Moving to the next success story. So this was Marketing Cloud. We were actually a finalist in the fast delivery of the SAP Quality Awards. Fortunately, we didn't win, but again, I think it was nice to get to that point. And basically, this was the Builders Marketing Cloud implementation. So like I mentioned, we had Game already on Marketing Cloud, and this was purely onboarding builders onto that environment. Obviously, I'm making it sound very easy, but there was obviously complexity and a lot of design sessions we had to go through. But at the end of the day, we went live. Also, you can see very quick to deliver. It was live. We went live 6 November before Black Friday. that was basically the main brief, was that we need to move off the other provider and we need to be ready for Black Friday. And we need to be able to send to the millions of customers by Black Friday, or at least before that. And basically moving from the old service provider. So we had another provider that was sending out the emails on their environment, obviously charging us the email cost per, email send cost on that side. We then brought that now almost in-house to say, well, the builders team, you guys are going to run the campaigns completely. You own it. You're going to get access to Marketing Cloud. We then obviously get the SAP bill in terms of SMS instead of getting a bill externally. But yeah, we saved 3.3 million basically, since I saw that number. I put the numbers together recently from go live. So from November 2018 to date till the end of April, 3.3 million savings. So it's not bad. And one of the success of the project was that the marketing team was really right at the beginning involved in the project. So any show and tell, even some very high level design discussions, they were included. They had almost access to the system already. They could see the system. They could really start interacting with it. Obviously, it's a cloud solution. The screens look much better than the old SAP GUI, so it's a lot easier to get used to. But to have them really from the beginning involved, even during the go live, to be involved, running the campaigns, was, I think, one of the reasons why this project was a success. Like I said, we had to go live before Black Friday, and we obviously send millions and millions of emails. I think we sent almost 80 million emails now across the group. So in terms of how much emails we send, it's quite a bit. And one of the topics that Digital Interconnect helped us with, and with Consnet, was around the IP warm-up. And basically, to summarize what IP warm-up is that when you get an email into your Gmail, for example, you'll probably notice some emails go to spam and some don't. So what this warm-up process means is that when you set up your solution, so when you send something at game, for example, so newsletter at game.co.za, you need to send it slowly so that, for example, Gmail, they can see that you're not just flooding people's inbox with fictitious information. So you have to do it in a very controlled manner, sending as low as 50 the first day, then the next day ramping it up and ramping it up. And SAP Digital Interconnect has a guideline for that in terms of how you should do that. So, for example, if you send 1 million emails, it might take you 2 weeks to get through that 1 million, and then from there onwards, you can start sending and sending and sending. That is quite a key, because I've seen a lot of emails go to my Gmail spam, for example, because Gmail is almost flagging your company as spam. And this is a way to get rid of that. And Consnet really helped in terms of following the best practice, but also pushing it a bit more and getting the feedback from the SAP Digital Interconnect team. So we worked very closely as a team on that topic, because we wanted it to be a success. Because the minute your IP or your email gets blacklisted, it takes weeks and months potentially to get it unblacklisted, contacting all the ISPs. So that was definitely something that if you are going with Marketing Cloud, don't forget sending the emails. You have to do it in a very controlled fashion. I would recommend SAP Digital Interconnect, because it's a seamless integration. It's works. So I mean, it was there set up for game. So for builders, it was a no-brainer. It's like we're not gonna find another email service. We will use SAP Digital Interconnect for that. Then obviously we also had SMS, and we use SMS portal. So we built that via SAP Cloud Platform integration. So we have SMS portal set up, not just for sending emails, but also when you click stop, or when you select or type stop on your SMS that you don't want to receive this anymore, we built that backward integration as well. Okay. So this is just one example of what we have set up now in Marketing Cloud. I took my wife's details. I actually registered for a few of the different brands. So for example, you'll have game. I register for game, I register for builders and macro. So what this screen is showing is how Marketing Cloud can generate a best record or a merge record. And this is made possible, obviously, by integrating all these systems. So you have Marketing Cloud, which is cloud solution. Then you might have your on-premise CRM, for example, where you have all your business partners there in terms of customers or contacts. But you also might have commerce. So you might have all these systems And because we multi-brand or multi-division, we had to have a way of bringing it all together. And this is the standard functionality that we've sort of tweaked, and I think there's even more tweaking we will do to really get this golden record or best record for a customer. Because if a customer is a game, builders, and macro, they're the same person. Even though they're shopping at 3 different places, they are actually the same person. So this view really brings together all the customer data and it tries to merge it into one. And obviously we don't use this information, in a very scientific way at this point. It's just to bring the data together because each division is still operating separately. In the future, obviously, Massmart could look at a customer across the brands, and then you could do marketing activities or any other further activities or even analysis on them. But at this point, because we wanted everyone onto one tenant from a cost point of view, from a speed of delivery point of view, this shows you how everything gets put together. At the bottom, you'd see a third-party ad solve. So basically, this is a third party that we use that can enrich data. But we don't really use that in a lot of detail at this point. So you can see all the different aspects of different solutions, different brands coming in, and really coming in from a marketing point of view, bringing it together. Like I mentioned, there's this whole merge and match process. There's a lot of rules there, so it's not easy just to switch on. I think you need to really understand the terminology and how the algorithm actually works when the data enters the system. Marketing Cloud is really a system that is getting a lot of information. We don't really push a lot of information out at this point, but we are getting lots of information. And like I said, we just went live with macro. So as we get different brands, the system will start getting millions and millions of records of data coming in, especially when we start adding transactional, which is also on the cards. Like I said, this definitely with the whole Poppy app coming, we at least there's a basic way and quite a good way, I think, of capturing consent and subscription. So did I opt in for the email? What type of emails do I want to receive? I think it does a good job of that. Obviously, SAP Data Cloud, that takes it to to the next level, and that's what we will start looking at. But at this point, we're managing permissions and subscriptions quite well. So when you opt out of something, the next day you won't get an email. That's really where we try to get to. Yeah. So if you look at all the integrations, I've worked quite closely with Consnet and with all the different business units within Massmart to really understand, okay, what is on the roadmap? What have you discussed, even if it's just in passing or an idea that you think of? And what is standard? What are the standard integrations that we can start looking at? So I mentioned SAP Digital Interconnect. There is a few areas that we're going to start looking at integration. We already have email and SMS through them, so we have that configured. There's WhatsApp, there's push notifications, there's chat. There's a few things or bots that we can start looking at. That is something definitely that we're going to start looking at quite soon. From a Facebook point of view, we only have Facebook as an inbound channel to C4C. We don't have it from a marketing point of view. So that's something we want to start looking at. WhatsApp is popping up everywhere. We have a service at Macro, but obviously we're gonna start looking at what's the best way to integrate WhatsApp. Like I said, Digital Interconnect is there, but there could be other options that we could look at as well. We just haven't gone into that detail yet. So WhatsApp is definitely popping up. So Cisco DNA Spaces, this one here, this is quite an interesting one. So this is around Wi-Fi. So if you have Wi-Fi devices, we're also looking at how could we integrate that. So when someone walks into a store and connects to your Wi-Fi, with permission, what can you get? What can you start pushing into Marketing Cloud, for example? So we're looking at Cisco as well from a Wi-Fi point of view. Never Bounce is something that's kicking off quite soon. Never Bounce is linked to the discussion or the explanation I had earlier around warm up and making sure when you send an email that Gmail or Hotmail doesn't see that as spam. And Never Bounce is a feature where basically if you got 1 million emails in your database and let's say you're going live in the macro scenario, you can push that full base in to say 1 million emails in, okay, there's 900,000 that are clean. The other 100,000, it's fictitious, or it's not valid anymore. And basically, we got integration that Constant's building with Neverbounce and SAP Marketing Cloud. That standard integration that we're gonna configure, and basically that'll allow us to control it within Marketing Cloud. So you can have a bit more controlled approach, because Neverbounce, anyone could use it now. You could have a list of emails, you could push it into this Neverbounce cloud solution on the web, and you can return to say, well, these ones are valid, these are invalid. We're now building integration into SAP Marketing Cloud for that. Qualtrics is also something popping up. To be honest, I'm not that close to it, but I know around surveys and a few other features around Qualtrics. Again, this could be something across C4 HANA. I was always thinking from a SAP sales point of view, that we could have Qualtrics just to enhance the surveys and that. But I think it can go across all the C4 HANA applications. Yeah, then Google Analytics. A lot of it is standard within Marketing Cloud, for example. So we will look at that. SAP Analytics Cloud. So we have SAP Analytics Cloud connected to our SAP Marketing Cloud environment, but it hasn't been used. It's there, it's working, but we haven't really gone to the detail of that. There's a lot we can do there, even connecting up C4C, for example, into Analytics Cloud. So you could have a single place where you can really do all your analytical work. And then Zapper, for example. So on Builders site, you can pay via Zapper. So what is the options there? What could we do with Zapper? That also was something that popped up as a new initiative. Okay, and then yeah, I think this is my last slide. So one of the big impacts of C4 HANA, specifically around sales, service, and marketing, because these are cloud solutions. They are upgraded every 3 months. If you look at this diagram, or this is a sort of one of the slides that they normally send you every 3 months to explain what they're going to do to your environment and when you need to test. Because remember, if you deployed something and they're upgrading it, you need to regression test to make sure at least your basic functionality is working. Run through some scenarios. The problem is, in most companies or in most IT organizations, there's a lot of projects happening. So what we've decided to do was to have a managed service with Consonant to take all our scripts that we've done for previous projects. Luckily, it hasn't been too much because it's only been a couple of years. Go through all those scripts and regression test all of that and provide it to us back as all the test scripts or test evidence. And that is over Marketing Cloud, over Cloud Platform, and C4C, or Sales and Service Cloud, because now they get upgraded on the same day. So for example, we just went through one, I think over the weekend. Yeah, we just went through a production upgrade. So there's strict guidelines from SAP to say, okay, you need to your test environment will be patched here. And in our scenario, it's C4C and marketing. You need to do your tests. You need to raise any issues before a certain time, and then you need to wait then a few days later when your production system gets upgraded, and then obviously do some post-production tests just to make sure everything's okay. Especially like telephony and email and a few other areas that or developments that you may have done. So we've realized, because everyone's so busy in terms of from an IT point of view, in terms of all other projects running, a lot of times the builders, so for example, builders IT or game IT or macro IT, they're not really going to have a lot of time to do these tests quickly, because they could be on other projects or there could be other priorities coming in. And this was a good way, just at least someone could do a sense check, provide us with the scripts, we can review those scripts, and then if we're happy, we either we continue, we wait for the production upgrade, or we log it with SAP. One of the additional features, obviously, when they do the quarterly update, there's obviously a lot of new features and a lot of screen changes. C4C, we went through a big one recently, where they moved from one old complete view to something completely different, which is like the new Fiori view. And even though technically the testing was quite easy, it's more the business impact. So we need to give it to business analysts to say, well, is there documentation we need to update? Is there a session we need to go through with the contact center? Because now the screens are completely different. Even though the functionality is the same, the screens look differently, and the buttons have moved from the top to the bottom, or the colors have changed. And sometimes from a contact center, because it's very fast, it takes a while for the guys to get used to. So you need to do some of that prep work with them. And on top of that, there's also brand new functionality. So things that you can activate easily, and things that business have been thinking about, but now it's coming in a new release. So let's wait for that, for example, in the next release, and then let's deploy that. So what Concept also do is provide a documentation around, okay, what has builders, for example, implemented from a service cloud, and what enhancements what enhancements are linked to that. Because the documentation around new enhancements, it's pages and pages and pages of documents. So again, for example, the builder's IT team won't have time to go through all those pages and all those PDF documents. Where at least this now concept highlights, okay, we can do this enhancements, this is relevant, this might be relevant, and have that discussion. So that is something that from a support point of view, it's not just the day-to-day running and monitoring of the system, it's also with the changing environment. What can we get from the next release? That is definitely a big topic. Okay. Let me just see. Yeah, and that's me. That is just a quick, brief overview of C4HANA. Again, like I said, focusing on sales, service, marketing more than commerce at this point, because that's where I've been quite close to. Yeah. So I think we can, if there's any questions or comments.
Hi, Roscoe. There are questions. I'm going to just copy them across and put them in the chat box, and then we can go through each one individually. So they should type up. There we go. That might be easiest instead of scrolling through all the chats.
Okay. Should I open up the chat window? Let me stop sharing. Yeah, then.
There we go. So if you just click onto
okay, where should I start?
so number one, the first question is, why do you still need on-prem CRM from Keith Ryan from Engine Oil?
It's actually a very good question. It's something that I've actually asked the exact same question when we went live with C4C, for example. Because I worked a lot on CRM before, and then I started looking at, well, what do we actually use CRM for? And in the builder scenario, as an example, is that we actually only use it to keep business partners, so keep your customer data, and we also then use it. The big issue why we can't just throw it away just yet is that you have CRM and you got all the change pointers in terms of on business partners firing off so many iDocs to different systems. So for example, when you register on commerce, it creates you in CRM, and then from there it replicates to Marketing Cloud, replicates to C4C, and replicates back to commerce, for example. And definitely it's something we need to look at, but again, in terms of priorities, we just won't look at it just yet. And I think from my point of view, I think because ECC and CRM is so closely connected with middleware and all these things, and with all the integrations we've built, the best thing to do, in my opinion, would be wait till you go to S4, for example. So for builders, I would think we only look at that when we move to S4. Then you don't need CRM anymore because we're not using functionality that isn't available. Maybe that answers the question. Yeah.
Perfect. Then the second question is, are you testing authorizations using a SAP tool set?
No, we're not. No, we're not actually. That is, I know auth and solution manager is something that we're talking and discussing about quite a bit. And how does that affect cloud systems, and how does it affect our current on-premise? So no, we're not doing anything as yet, but yeah, definitely something that we need to look at.
Okay, thank you. And then the third question is, why not move your ECC environment to S4?
Yeah, that's on the cards and in discussion. It's just, again, it depends on other priorities. So the minute other projects go live, then we will start looking at that.
Okay, and then the last question received is, are you looking at the impact of digital access given your interfaces and the number of documents created?
Yeah, so we've actually we have an infosec team that actually monitors a lot of that, because yeah we it's because the systems are all, it's completely separated almost in a way, especially from like a commerce point of view. It's separate commerce environments, so that's definitely being looked at this point. Like I said, one of the topics around like customer data cloud, how we manage consent, all these little things, we're trying to really understand what's the best way to do it, because yeah, that's definitely what we will need to look at in future.
Okay, and then I see another question has just come through. It says, how are you managing BP master data? Have you thought of using centralized point of storing master data for all your stores? And this is from Nedbank.
Yeah, so the whole topic around master data, we've been discussing quite a bit. So if you look at Marketing Cloud now, it's probably the only system that really brings together most of our brands. So it's already 3 big brands, right? And it's a big percentage of our customer base. From a marketing point of view, it makes sense. But it's a good question, because it's something that we also need to then understand, not just from marketing, but all customer data. How do we actually bring it? Because at this point, like you saw, we have different CRMs, different ECCs. We got someone on S4. We have all these cloud systems. But what is the end state? And that's what we're trying to work through.
Okie doke. Sorry, I'm just reading the next one. The next one is, how do you balance demand between store walk-in customers and online, and how it filters to your distribution centers?
Sorry, I'm also just reading it. Sorry. So obviously, our online is not as big as stores. So I don't think there's an issue there at this point, to be honest. But sorry, I can't really comment more on that. But I know online is not a big percentage, remember? So I don't think we have a huge issue around that. And remember, from like in Builders, you're ordering from a store. You're not ordering from a DC. So it's a bit different, yeah.
Okay, then the next question is, if you're on S4 HANA, then no need for C4 HANA, correct?
No, I think, well, no, I think you still need C4 HANA, because C4 HANA is really your customer engagement part of it. For example, you can't have your common site running on S4. You know what I mean? It's not, it doesn't make sense. There might be areas like in C4C, for example, there could be some overlap where you could do a few things in S4, but I think C4 HANA is definitely required with S4. I think they complement each other, especially with cloud platform integration, or at least SAP Cloud, where you can build various applications on.
Okay, then I see there's another question. Are you using recommendations and Predictive Studio for customer segmentation?
So it's definitely something that popped up from, I think it's on the macro list of things that they want. Like I said, it just went live, so I think it'll take a while for them for us to explore that in a bit more detail. At this point, in terms of our brands, the real need was just to send out emails and do very basic segmentation. Builders, obviously, I'll give you one example. Builders have done a little bit more. So, for example, they're analyzing, okay, who's actually opening their emails, because we get that feed to say who opened emails, who clicked on links, all that. So they're getting a bit more clever in terms of how they segment. But we haven't looked at recommendation and some more predictive stuff. So that is something that we will definitely look for in future. Yeah.
Okay, and then I see the last question is, where are you managing your loyalty, Marketing Cloud or on-premise CRM?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I wish SAP could answer that one, because there's a new solution that SAP has built or partnered with. Completely forgot the name. And we've sort of paused on it. It's always been asked from a builder's point of view. From a macro point of view, it's another third-party system. But for builders, that definitely was a question, so it's something we will look at. Libre, Annex Cloud, that's the one. Annex Cloud. So It's on the roadmap for builders specifically. Yeah, so we will start looking at in that in a bit more detail.
Okay, great. I think that's it. I don't think I've missed any questions. What I will do is I will just copy all the questions, and then Roscoe, I'll just ask you to do a one-liner to each one, and then we can just share it to everybody for some people that have had to drop off the call.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. To all the attendees, the presentation as well as the recording will be available on the AFSAG website tomorrow, sometime throughout the day, so you can just double check there. And yes, just thank you from our side, and I hope you all have a lovely day.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.